Can you believe it? We got about 50 days to go to November 5. I'm sure our next guest can give me the days, the hours, the minutes, and the seconds. Mike Kehoe wants to be your next governor here in the state of Missouri. He is joining us on KCMO. Good morning, Mike. Thanks for being here.
Pete, it's great to be on with you a minute. My wife does have the hour and minute countdown, by the way. So
sure
I just stick to the days. I'm a high-level guy.
She's got, I'm sure, the countdown clock, like the countdown to the Super Bowl, in the house.
We actually have a countdown clock. We reprogrammed a Guinness beer countdown clock that was in an Irish pub that was how many days till St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
And somebody smarter than me reprogrammed that clock to count down to November 5th. So.
How about that? Well, it is 50 days to November 5, so the race is on. I know you're in town. You were at the Chiefs game yesterday. You were with Governor Parson. You were with Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You were telling me has a husband who is a rabid Chiefs fan. So how did that go?
Well, Governor Sanders is a big Chiefs fan, but her husband is from the Kansas City area. Met his mom and dad, super nice people. They're passionate, just like all Chiefs fans are. And so it was fun to see them. They're very excited. And obviously, Governor Parson's been a season ticket holder way before politics. So he's a big Chiefs fan as well. It's fun to go to a game where people actually are interested in the game because, sometimes you go to those events and you never got to watch the game. So it was great, and it was a nail-biter, and thank God for our kicker. Literally, thank God.
Literally. Yeah. He's obviously had himself quite an early season. And, I think about, obviously, all the drama going on with these two teams right now. Where's their future? We know what happened on the ballot here in April in Jackson County. So I got to imagine you're at the game yesterday, and you solved all the issues, right, for these teams. Everything's all figured out now, and we got a plan for the Chiefs and the Royals.
I was this close to making an announcement on your show this morning, Pete, and just barely missed. So you're telling me I got a chance?
Yes.
I can tell you that the governor and I both talked to Mark Donovan yesterday. We are talking to them regularly. Talk is cheap. I understand people want actions. I've said on your show, and I've said all along, the Chiefs and the Royals are two economic development organizations that are businesses. They supply an economic impact to our state like almost nobody else. Is certainly equal to many large industries here in the Kansas City area. So if any of those industries were thinking about moving to another state, where it was Kansas or somewhere else, we would be very interested in keeping their economic impact here, their employees here, and what they do for the state of Missouri. And I can tell you from the governor myself, both personally, we're going to do everything we can to make sure those two teams stay where they belong.
So what does that look like from a state level? Are you still hoping or thinking about this and saying something's got to happen locally and then the state assists, or is the state now the leader in this conversation?
Yeah, I've said all along, I'm not a big fan, and quite frankly, I don't think Missouri taxpayers are a big fan of pouring money into physical stadiums. It's so the solution, to your point, has to be a good investment for Missourians. You can't just do something that makes no business sense. It's going to make business sense, but it has to be a cooperation between the county, the city, and the state and what that solution looks like. And we already have economic development tools existing in our toolbox for companies who are thinking about expanding or doing something different. So there's some tools already on the table that we can use. I think you heard future Speaker-elect John Patterson say just recently there'll likely have to be another vote at some point in time. What that looks like, how they package that up, what that means to the voters, I don't know the details on that, but it will be a combination of all the efforts.
All right. Mike Kehoe is here in the studio on KCMO. So we're looking at this race, 50 days to go. We now know that the abortion amendment is going to be on the ballot in Missouri. It's perceived to be something that will drive Democratic turnout. Now, we know Missouri is a red state right now, but how are you trying to play this thing the next 50 days knowing that Democratic turnout may be up because there's abortion on the ballot?
Well, first of all, I would encourage all your listeners to vote against Amendment 3. It's a horrible initiative. And when you hear people say this may be the most important election of our life, I would say with that amendment on the ballot, besides the president, U.S. Senator, myself, and others on the ballot, Amendment 3 is not a good amendment. It goes way too far. You'll find some Republicans that would say we would think about exceptions for life of the mother and rape and incest, and I understand that conversation. I've been a part of those conversations. This goes way beyond that. I mean, it's catastrophic bad. So we need to make sure Missourians understand what that amendment really does and try to make sure we defeat Amendment 3 all at the same time, making sure people understand that we are a small business person that started from scratch in life and would really like the opportunity to lead our state. I believe our leadership qualities gives me the ability to take our state in a great direction, and I'd like to earn Missourian support.
So you're thinking then that there will be people that they might vote yes on this thing, but they realize you're the better governor. There could be some crossover there, I guess.
Well, I hope they vote no and figure out I'm the better governor.
Yes,
but there could be
yes.
crossover. You don't know. Elections are fickle, and sometimes those amendments, people don't understand the question, and the wording to them is somewhat misleading.
Well, we've seen that before, right? I mean,
Yes.
that's happened all the time. Gosh, I'm trying to think of the one maybe 2018, 2020. There was one of those on the ballot, and people didn't know what they were voting for.
Right.
And these big money groups come in and they just, pour money in to make this thing happen.
Well, as you say, outside interest groups, not Missourians, I think
Yes.
it's important for your listeners to know, have put almost $16 million into voter turnout on that. Some international organizations. So they have a big stake at the game.
And they don't know where this – is there a way to figure out where that money's coming from?
A lot of it's coming through what we call C4s, which are somewhat dark money organizations that put money into these elections. There's Planned Parenthood and various other liberal organizations have very much said that they're very much in favor of it. So you can kind of sense where it's coming from, and it's coming from very much pro-choice people. I've said all along, I think elected officials' number one responsibility is to speak for the people who can't speak for themselves, and in this case, the unborn.
Mike Kehoe is on KCMO. Now, of course, all the news, looking at the national headlines, is a second assassination attempt against Donald Trump. This one, not nearly what happened in Butler County, Pennsylvania in July, but you do have a suspect in federal court happening here momentarily as I read the headlines on Fox, and this individual was outside of the sixth hole at the golf course there in Palm Beach. So just your reaction as somebody who is on your way to potentially being the next governor, and we all know there's plenty of crazy out there right now.
I mean, they've tried to throw the president in jail. They've tried to bankrupt him. They've tried to accuse him of doing everything in their power, and now they're trying to shoot him and kill him. It's very unfortunate. The president is resilient. I don't know if you heard Speaker Johnson's interview this morning on Fox, but he met with him right after that happened. He said, he's in a good mood and resilient, and said, let's just keep going. I mean, that's a leader, somebody who – you saw what happened in Pennsylvania when he jumped up and said, fight, fight, fight. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy's a fighter. And if you want me to lead an organization, you want him to lead an organization as large as the country, I want a fighter. I want somebody who will fight. And he's put up with a lot and keeps going, and it's resiliency, and that's what we need right now in this country.
And as someone who got the endorsement of Donald Trump, when you think back to your interactions with him, are you seeing a lot of the guy are you seeing that play out with these situations here in real time? Yeah,
I fortunately had the opportunity to go meet with him down in Mar-a-Lago with my wife, and we had a great conversation, just a few people in the room. It wasn't a big group, really about business, Pete. It was interesting to me. This man was asking so much about business. In my case, the car business. We were with Johnny Morris from Bass Pro. He's asking about the outdoor sporting industry business. It was fascinating. And then when we won on August 6th, he called me, and I didn't have his phone number in my phone. One of his staff finally texted me and said, hey, the president's trying to call you. When I called him back, he said, Mike, I've been trying to get a hold of you. Now what do you say? Well, sorry, Mr. President, we're at our watch party. And so he was very gracious and congratulatory, offered his help. And it was my story. I'm the youngest of six, raised by a single mother. We didn't have a dime when we were growing up. And all of a sudden to have Donald Trump calling you was pretty special.
So did that cut through the, 1,000 text messages you had the morning after?
1911.
Was that the number?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Claudia started trying to answer them all, and she kind of started giving up. I think she got down to 1,500 or something. But.
Oh, jeez. And I'm worried about having 700 emails in my inbox. You got 1,500, 1,900 texts that drive me nuts.
Well, we're getting through them one by one.
Oh, my gosh. So I know you got just some things planned in the Kansas City area. What's next this week? You got a debate coming up on Friday, right, against your opponent.
Yes, we're going to be debating Representative Crystal Quaid through the Missouri Press Association, so it will be available for multiple outlets and obviously streaming at some point in time, whether live or later recorded. We're doing it in Springfield, Missouri, and we're looking forward to it. I think Missourians will see there's a very clear difference between Representative Quaid's sense of direction for the state and my sense of direction. It will be very clear.
Is that the only debate on the schedule right now?
It's the only debate on the schedule right now.
Okay. You think she'll do one on KCMO?
I don't know. You'd have to ask her that. I mean, if you're her, you probably want to do a lot of debates because she doesn't have a lot of name recognition out there. She didn't come through a brutal primary like we did. So fortunately, we have a little bit of name ID. I'm very appreciative to your listeners and the Missouri voters. Kansas City area, Pete, I got to tell you, was really good to our campaign. Our friend Nathan Willett headed up a group of volunteers around Kansas City that knocked doors. The FOP was great for us. The firefighters were great for us. So Kansas City area, I have to thank them first and foremost for trusting me with your vote on August 6th. We're not going to let you down in 50 days. We intend to win this thing on November 5th.
And after that big primary, you feel like the Republican Party in Missouri is united around your campaign?
Yeah, we're coming home. I spent a lot of time with a group of Republicans in Springfield, Missouri on Saturday night. And even though you have differences in a primary, and we always do, Republicans usually have kind of primaries for folks to choose from. At the end of the day, like I said just a few minutes ago, the difference whether you liked me or didn't vote for me or not and you're a Republican, the difference in the direction I'm going to take and my conservative values are going to be much, much, much different than what Representative Quaid represents.
Mike Kehoe on KCMO, ready to be your next governor here in Missouri. We appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for stopping by.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me.